her to like another friend because he's more talented. He got more better grades than me. So I think that the story really inspires people to believe in yourself. To even though you don't have any natural talent, but through hard work you can achieve success as well. So the core values that you can learn from this story is be the hero, never settle, fail fast, and also to help others to help themselves. Since my guy is also a teacher and he inspires the students there with similar situations that can control their chakra really well. So he really inspires the students as well in the academy. I think that's all for my weekly inspiration for this week. And I'll give it over to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Kevin, for the weekly inspirations. Hello, everyone. I'm Aaron, and I will be your moderator for today. So, first is visions and mission statements. I will give the speech to Mr. Jing. Any updates?
Okay, thank you very much, Aaron, and thank you very much, Kevin, for giving us the inspirational story of the week. So, there's no changes on examples of vision statement and mission statement. We've left it the same as the previous week. So, one of the things that's happening right now is we've reached one of our largest meetings ever. So, we're up to, I think, over 60 Vistans and Vistarns together. So, don't forget to engage and call a response in the chat group and across this meeting so that others can hear your voice and you can be heard and seen yourself as well. So that's something I want to carry forward, is becoming part of our culture. The next part is the mission statement. It's remained unchanged. The one thing I'd like to talk about is this the innovation method, the BV reporting method. This is actually a standard of reporting. This is actually something that Alif has pioneered and is slowly propagating throughout its way through the rest of the company. This is still not adopted by 100%, but I just want to leave this here as a reminder. If you haven't started using this method for your updates, please consider using it, because it does make the meetings go a lot faster, and I think it also inspires delight by sticking to a more clear way of thinking. Okay, that's it. Back to Aaron.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mr. Jing. So we will proceed to our weekly vision inspirations from Gray.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. So for this one, the guest already booked with us on Airbnb, but she booked another villa directly to us, and she said she will contact us if she is going to Bali again because of our hospitality. So yes, back to you, Aaron. That's from me.
Yes, thank you, Grace. So we also got positive story from Andre.
Yes, from me, I would like to shout out to our support who handled this guest. This guest is quite unique sebenarnya, karena this guest mentioned specifically our support team, if you see on the review over there. So she said that also thanks to the online support Bukit Vista, we definitely will come back next time. Also related about Grace review, I saw several reviews as well saying that the guest will keep on contact with us in the review, which that will indicate that we give a space good service to the guest, and it will be a referral to another guest when they see this review. So that will be from us. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you. So besides guests, we also get positive story from our partners from Tandy. Is Tandy here? If not, I will repeat. So from Tandy, say
Hello, Aaron.
that. Oh yeah, please Tandy.
Sorry, yeah. Thank you. So this is the first about the on-site inspection in the Canggu. So the owner is tell me that he basically is from the pharmacy school and then didn't know well about the cleaning chemical tools and technique. Also, the staff also have a very basic knowledge. So they just know about how to clean, but didn't know like what is the right step to clean or the tools like that. So by transparent, so the owner is transparent to me, then me and Rafiq can do the action by give them training and then also give some knowledge to them. The next one, this is the second one is I create the video with the Drua village owner. So this honor is inspired delight by elevating the high school student with practical internship experience while using the creative strategy to survive during a pandemic. You guys can see the video on the YouTube, on the Facebook, and then you can share and then like as well, yeah, on there. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Tendi. So we also got a good story from our HR team from RV.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So first, we got from
Gue lagi meeting tuh.
which is they got 69 contract extended, which means we successfully inspiring the life and will continue to do so. And then the second from HAR, which successfully and effectively manages its minimum resource to get maximum target. Great job, HR. And then the third one, there is a middle of letter from a mentor who feel achieving something when see progress of each intern's project. And then the fourth one, we have BD team having better discussion and documentation, which is great for the future learnings. And then the fifth one, we have good engagement in marketing team. And last but not least, we have someone that have great work-life balance, which what we encourage all the members of the teaching have. So yeah, inspired to let everyone.
Yes, thank you, RV. That was a good progress in Bukit Vista, yeah. So we also got some technological innovations from Chris.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So basically, our iOS version of Bifigo application is also almost done. We're currently testing and preparing it to launch to the App Store, basically. So yeah, that's from me. Back to you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Chris. So we also got a new employees for this week, which is Asa and Rose from CMs and Vera from HR. Congratulations.
Oh, Aaron, I think you should also mention we finally got Gray's avatar put up.
Ah, yeah, we also got Gray from HAR. Just now, yeah. Congrats, guys. Yes. Okay, proceeds to next. Is our monthly team target and achievements to Fidi?
Yep. Thank you, Aaron. So just another recap from the partnership side. In bigger at least, there are no records of new signed contract yet. So that's that in the partnership side. And from the guest side, actually, we now have achieved 54,500 or 600, if I'm mistaken. Can we look at, 54,652. That's 350 away from our stretch target this month. So this is actually the first time we're really this close to a stretch target. So again, just like every week, I am asking help from each individual in the company to help achieve this stretch target as well. And if we look at the in-month revenue, actually, it's also pretty impressive that we achieved actually 26,000 this month alone. So yeah, this is actually a good progress since a few months ago we just if you remember correctly, like April and a few months ago before April, we actually never reached our revenue target, and we've gotten this far. So thank you very much, team, and let's keep on doing the good work.
Thank you, Fidi. So yeah, congrats, guys. So keep up the good work, yeah. And next is for chapter main achievement will be read by our respective chapter lead. And
Irene. Hello. Hello.
Aaron, you're muted, yeah.
Yeah, it's from, I think it's from GM. We have one achievement, at least 96% partner already signed for renewing the contract on community. That is the, yeah, that's already the, who's make this one? There's Sandy. That is from community side. Back to moderator.
Yeah, thank you, Tendi. I'm sorry for the inconvenience before. So next for HAR, Andre.
Yeah, I'm going to read one of our achievement for this week. I think of extension reminder practice where we're now using Slack notification for remind the HR if there's any guests already make the half of their stay, and we will remind them whether to extend or not. So basically, this is beautiful because if the guest didn't really want to extend, we want to cross sell it, and if the guest want to extend, we usually also upsell it. So make not just a 1 month, but 2 months or further or something. And I think this is a good practice for us since we can gain the revenue for the upcoming months, but as well we can gain the revenue for the current month as well. So that will be one of the achievement from it.
Yes, thank you, HAR teams. And next we will proceed to HR.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So, good morning, everyone. So, for the team achievement for HR team, the past week is we did a pivot for like sales video full time role selection process. So, previously we had this like focus group discussion, and then we decided to pivot it into like sales pitch simulation session that can actually reflect the real life situation with the prospective owners. So, yeah, we are going to like move on with this kind of pivot like for the next iterations for these sessions. And another thing is that with these innovations from the team to have the interns exit presentation on like their achievement as well as their development during their internship period here in company. So they can actually show like what are the projects or tasks that have been done and like left here as a legacy. But they can also like improve like advocacy and the whole employee funnel in the process. So yeah, that's few of the achievements that the HR team has accomplished the past week. So yeah, thank you, and I'll give the time back to Irene.
Yes, thank you, Celine. So exit presentations is a new innovations from HR team, yeah. And next we'll proceed to PD from Bayu.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so from PD, the biggest achievement is that we actually finished the milestone of two features reduced from last month we delivered in 1 month, and this one we delivered in 2 weeks. And it's not even 2 weeks; it's just 1 week plus I think 2 days. So that's a big achievement, I think. And the second one is Nadia. I noticed that Nadia is using the direct approach to acquire more users from our existing partners, and this is reducing the time needed compared to the traditional method to create a meeting, a formal meeting where we schedule everyone to be in the meeting. So that's it from me, Aaron. Go back to you.
Yes, thank you, Bayu. So time reductions is such a good progress. So next from M Marketing from Rizal.
Okay, so for marketing is the new chapter achievement is innovation from new online campus management that bring visibility on the timing and what approach method.
Okay, thank you, Rizal. So last but not least from BI from Lilis. Lilis is not here, yeah. So I think the others BI.
Yeah, I can cover for her. So this week we formed a clear direction of what's the big project for each role for the SDA, FA, and also accounting. And there's a lot of progress by the interns, David, Alvina, Dila, and also Anise in the development of balance sheet and also cash flow.
Okay, thank you, Fidi. So we will proceed to our personal updates. So please kindly read only your questions of the weeks, and your turn is 1 minute. From community chapter first, from Rafiq.
Okay. Good morning. Keep spirit. Keep your spirit. Yeah, don't be just lazy like that. Just smile. Yeah, smile. Yeah. So So okay, this is my what is called the question is what is your greatest fear, right? The most that I afraid is everyone or someone is not trust me again. That is the most fear that I afraid and very hard to build trust to everyone that you already untrusted before. So what do you do that? Just learn from the mistake, fail fast, never to do it again. Always apologize for some small things and the small things mistake before it's getting better. That is the what is called uh, from my side back to Irene. Just smile, Irene. Smile, Irene. I like your smile.
Yes, thank you, Rafi.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we got a hard topic, a deep topic actually. So from Candy next.
It's sorry before my connection it was trouble. So my fear is I cannot make myself useful. So that also motivate me to try develop myself more and more. And then the experience is the best source to develop myself by no other experience and my past experience, so I can set the future target. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tandy. That was an interesting coping. So next to Asa.
Okay, thank you, Iron. So for me, basically, I say that I'm on a quarter life crisis, having anxiety over the direction and quality of my life. And currently, I'm still trying to figure out some ways to cope with it. But here's what I'm currently doing by focusing on self care, write self exploratory journals or soul diaries, and enjoy the process. Back to you, Iron. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Asa. Yeah, from Rafi, Om Rafi, keep spirit, keep smile and happy, and jaga imun ya. So from Rose.
Okay, good morning everyone. So from me, my greatest fear is losing the people close to me. And about the coping mechanism, I think I still learning to prepare myself to be able to accept things that are not what I want later. And about my personal achievement is 60% of feedbacks from partners has been successfully implemented by various related chapters. And through this work, my skills were honed in coordinating with various chapters to help our partners. This is from me. Thank you, Iron. Back to you.
Yes, thank you, Rose. I feels like a lot of people fears of losing the people that closest to them, yeah. So next for Felicia.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So for my biggest fear, like at this point in my life, would be like uh, imagining that I end up being alone in the future because I'm so picky with the people that I want to be in my life. So yeah, my coping mechanism would be like grinding my way through life so that I become rich and I don't have the time to think about them or like to think about men or like being lonely and miserable. That's all from me. Back to you, Aaron. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Felicia. I think everyone gets a high standard for man or girl, yeah. So, okay, next for Andre from HAR chapter.
Yeah, my greatest fear is emotional stability and consistency. Sometimes I'm afraid when I have to face something and it was trigger my emotion or something. But I tend to think in future before I'm being inconsistent and unstable. I always think that I think it would be bad if I can control myself. So I need to control myself before I'm trying to control the other things. So that's how I cope my fear.
Yes, thank you, Andre. So everyone must be have a great motivations to face their problem, yeah. And next from Maria. Okay, Maria's not here, so I'll read for her. So her biggest fear is that she will say that her biggest fear is uncertainty and not knowing what to do. Her coping is to feel that way and would probably talk to her mom or someone for help. Okay, next for Sasha.
Yep, thank you, Irene. And good morning, everyone. My greatest fear would be, I think, my future life. For example, like career or etc., or not being able to travel abroad or something. And how I cope with that is to understand and accept that we have no full control over it, and just focus on the present, on what we can control, because worrying too much will be no use. And being alive today is actually already a gift gift, and we should be grateful of it as well. And also talk about it to someone I'm close with, like family or friends, or have a quiet time to pray is helpful too. And that's pretty much from me. Back to you, Evelyn.
Thank you, Sasha. So focus on the presence, and Sasha is a realistic person, yeah. And next to Gray.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. So my fear is ocean and darkness, and how I cope with it is, of course, I don't go to beach or doing ocean-related activity. And for darkness, it's as simple as sleeping with my lights on. Yeah, back to you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Gray. And a lot of people afraid of darkness, as also me too. And next for Dipta.
Hi everyone, thank you Iran. So my greatest fear is that not having enough money for retirement because it just happened a lot in my close family, and then how to deal with it. I'm coping with doing my most to accumulate asset, invest in something, and doing some stocks, perhaps in cryptocurrency and forex and anything. And currently, I'm doing my side job, my side hustle to accumulate my assets. I think that's all. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Dipta. So start work hard from now, yeah, and be successful in the future. So next for HR team for Mr. Jing.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. I think this is a great question. I'll go kind of to explain. In my early 20s, my biggest fear was academic failure, maybe not being attractive enough to the ladies, having no worthwhile life-determining moments. Like, I would look at other people who had incredible things that had happened to them, and I'd be sad because nothing like that had happened for me yet. I didn't really cope with that. I would just do, I think, what Felicia did, just study harder and kind of bury myself in my work, right? When I got to my late 20s, the fear was really about not finding the right one. Meaning what was the right job, who was the right partner, what was the right place to live, what were my right friends, and not really finding the right one. I cope with that by exploration and doing lots of discovery. So that was pretty cool. When I got to be in my early 30s, the biggest fear was a lack of purpose and meaning in work and personal life. And the coping mechanism was realizing that coping isn't the right mindset, actually. It's more about using that fear to push your motivation. And by the time I got to my late 30s, I think I just reached emotional stability. I actually felt like I've gone through this cycle of exploring fear and responding to fear. So now I think if I feel fear, I can control. I can't control the feeling of fear, but I can control how I respond to fear. Okay, back to the chair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jing. That was so deep and inspired delight. Thank you for sharing your stories. Next, we will proceed to Shilin.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So, for my greatest fear, it's actually overthinking. So it's basically the root of every problem, leading to every possible fear that one can imagine. So, so far for the coping mechanism, of course, it's not easy to not overthink. But what I can do is to shift my focus to the present and worry less on the unforeseeable future. As I actually got this quote from like the Kung Fu Panda movie, like by the what Master Ugly, the turtle guy. So yeah, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So it's a really good quote, and like shifting our focus to the present is actually way better than like worrying on the things that haven't actually happened yet in a way. So yeah, that's all from me. Back to you, Iris.
Thank you, Shilin. So it's not thinking too much and just walking in the flow. So next for RV.
Okay, so my greatest fear is not having a stable life when I'm old and having to rely to any family member. That's why I'm thinking of the possibility about not having my own nuclear family and planning how I will spend the rest of my life.
Yes, thank you, Afi. Nuclear family is so interesting. Maybe you can talk more in the chat box, yeah? So next to Farah.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So my fear is that if I can't repay back my parents, it's like in terms of money, memories, and happiness. So how I cope with it is I try my best to maintain a good relationship with them and communicate more and hang with them also. And also like be more transparent, which is like share them my capabilities and problems. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. And yeah, everybody, don't forget to be a good kids, yeah. And next to Jenna.
Hello, so my greatest fear is being alone, and I cope with that by developing a very strong, stable group of friends that I know I can fall back on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. That was so interesting. So next from me itself, my fear is I'm being insecure with myself before and always feel no better than others. But I'm moving to trying to love myself and understand that every human being has their own abilities. Okay, next to Furkan.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, please.
So my biggest fear is losing my parents, basically, as I guess most of us do. And yeah, my coping mechanism is simply praying for them. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Furkan. I realized that Furkan was praying every day, so he was good. He is a good kid. And next for Shumin.
Yeah, so for myself, I would like failure is my biggest fear, and then coping mechanism is really just to like accept it and learn from it and move on. Yeah, back to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Sumin. So next for Lalita.
Okay, so my fear is not being able to do anything or help anyone, and it occurs to literally like anyone. So my coping mechanism is I have to keep on learning so that I can do better in work, so that I will be able to do many things for others too.
Yes, thank you, Lalita. So don't forget to keep learning and ask for help and maybe ask for another person's opinion too, yeah. Next for Latifa. Okay, so Latifa's not here. I will read. Her greatest fear is to lose her freedoms, and she coped with that by allocating me time for herself, and that is the time when she can do anything that she wanna do. Okay, next to product development and internal tools to Bayu.
Okay. Okay. This is lagging. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. The greatest fear and coping mechanism. My fear is usually I, I I fear if I feel unprepared and for dynamic life events, and especially if reality didn't meet expectation. So usually, how I cope with that is I try to adjust my expectation very low for everyone and everything that I'm working on or I meet in life.
Yes, thank you, Bayu, for sharing your fears and your copings. Next to Nadia, but she's not here, so we'll proceed to Chris.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So, good morning, everyone. My fear is basically I'm afraid to be drawn by any fear that I have in general. Because for me, all of my fears are my greatest fear, basically. Fear of failure, fear of not having a good life, etc. And the coping mechanism is actually I realize that in the end of the day, this is our life. And there are things that you can't control, and there are a lot of more things that you cannot control. So make sure to always do your best on things that you can control, and the rest let the nature works. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So we need to proceed to the agile development here. And next for Zio.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
For my biggest fear is that I'm afraid of being utterly useless, and for that, the coping mechanism is that I'm trying to help others as much as possible, because that allows me to sharpen my skill or even learn new skill. And I also that thinking that doing favor for other people is a way to invest in other people for their favor. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Zio, and get well soon, yeah. So next for Nico, but he's off for exams. And next for Raphael. And yeah, he's not here too. So next for Amelia. Okay, she has a swab test and hopefully negative. And her fear is not living her life to the fullest extent, and she try as many opportunities as she can and enjoy her life. Okay, next to marketing from Bokwayana.
Hi, good morning, Aaron. Okay. My biggest fear actually, like most others, like losing member that we love, and then second, I'm not able to keep up with the change that in life. My cup is like the family. I will be there when they need my support, and for them, I'm not able to change. This was always open for knowledge and feedback. Thank you, back to Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Mbak Wayana. And we are in Bukit Vista is your family also, so don't worry, yeah. Next to Nadine's, she has a thesis appointment and she's ready for me. Okay, her biggest fear is disappoint or losing her mom and end up like her parents' marriage and not being impactful for the world she has living in. And she spends some quality time with her mom, take care of her as often as she can to not be in regret later, and can only wishing if she had enough time. And she also reads some healing books that say every single person will have their own ways, and it's helpful for her to gain confidence that she will have a good life. Last but not least, she's trying to dig her potentials in her, gain much knowledge as she can, and get educated, so she can help those people who doesn't as lucky as she are, as and make impact for her environments, and also build a school for her dream to cope that fears. Okay, that was so deep. And next for Rizal.
Okay, thank you, Irene. For my biggest fear is unable to unlock my biggest potential, and for coping mechanism is do hustle, always try something new, either challenge, kill or target.
Yes, thank you, Rizal. So don't forget to challenge, always challenge for yourself. And next to Gani.
Thank you, Aaron. So my biggest fear is not achieve the target and how all to produce do the best for the team, provide help for them and improve the strategy.
Yes, thank you, Gani. So next for Aike. Okay, Aike's not here. So she thinks that fear of disappointing others, family, close friends, teammates, and not be able to be relied on. And she heard that was she we resist, persist, so accept and always remind herself that her best is enough. And also her best is to finish anything that she starts and still sleeps. So she was in time when she needs to be better leading to unhealthy life. And next for Gray. Okay, Grace not here too. So he is really afraid of snakes since chills, and he probably afraid of losing a sense of freedoms as you grow older. Okay, so his coping mechanism is watching snake documentations, and holding a real snake in zoo kind of helped him. And meanwhile, he trying to do new things and cherish the things that he like to do now. That was so interesting. And next to Christabel.
Yes, so for my fear, I have fear for deep water or ocean. It's because I don't like the fear of the nothingness and the uncertainty beneath the sea. And my coping mechanism is I'll avoid holidays activity that includes diving and choose to go mountains instead. So if someone asked me the beach or the mountains, it would be the mountains 100%. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Christabel. So from today, we know that Christabel is anak gunung ya. And next to Andreas.
Thank you, Aaron. So my biggest and most noticeable fear is heights. But one of my biggest fears is also being lonely and not having any friends to share my life with. And I can just skip the after effect. But my coping mechanism, as for the heights, is to only see below me for a second or two. That works when I went to Cloud Forest in Singapore. And as for the second one, is try to occupy myself with works to forget it, basically.
Yes, thank you, Andreas. So don't feel lonely, yeah, because you can talk to our BB teams. And next to Zaki, but Zaki is not here too, I guess. So his fear is having nobody to lean on and hear his life story and losing his parents. So he's doing nothing and try not to think of it as much as possible. So next to Kyla.
Good morning, everyone. So my fear is I'm afraid I cannot do my job well, so I disappoint people around me and their trust in me. And my coping mechanism is I will try to carefully plan all my responsibilities and to-do lists on daily journals and focusing on each task one by one to make the best of every day. And if it doesn't work well, I don't blame myself too much because I believe there are lots of things that we cannot control. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kyla. That was so wise of you. So next to Sharon.
So my fear is heights, otherwise known as acrophobia. So my way to cope is I heard that people with acrophobia, people that are actually just afraid of falling. So I always try to push away that feeling of worry and I just try my absolute best to enjoy the view from above whenever I'm somewhere high, but I can never ride roller coasters or things like that at the theme park. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sharon. Maybe next you should ask Christabel to go to mountain together, yeah? And next to Erico.
Thank you, Aaron. I think my greatest fear is probably of bugs and coping mechanism. I think none really. I just try to avoid them at all costs. So if anybody who has successfully overcome this fear, maybe you can let me in on your secret. I love to know it. So I guess to conclude, my coping mechanism might be defense itself. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, thank you, Erico. So next we will proceed to Lilis from BI. Okay, she said that please read for her. Okay, her fear is coding, so not taking any job that relating to this. And this make me so full, she said that. Okay, next to Fidi.
Right, thank you very much. This is a very interesting question. Yeah, in the morning I have to think about this. My fear is fear of the unknown. That's actually I don't know what I'm afraid of, but I think I'm afraid of what I don't know. And I cope with it by pushing my limits again and again. So yeah, that kind of works in a sense. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Fidi, but don't forget to not push yourself too hard, yeah. And next we will proceed to David.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, and good morning, everyone. My biggest fear is disappointing others, family, friends, and etc. And how to cope with it. Try to not waste the time I have by always contacting my family, preparing my career wisely, and praying for my family and me. Back to you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, David. So we will proceed to the next Kyla, the second Kyla from BI.
Hi, my biggest fear would be I would fear ending up alone in life with no one who cares about me, and my coping mechanism would be to reach out to friends and family, like Ganggu, my sister, in the next room, or cuddle my cat. So that's for me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kyla. I realize that a lot of people feeling lonely, yeah? So I think we need a more happy hour then. Okay, next, Ali. Okay, Alif is having his final exams and he's afraid to the futures. Okay, that's so wise. And he's afraid of the uncertainty that happens in his life. Although sometimes that uncertainty is a good thing, but he's afraid that he can really not realize what he's dreaming of right now. Okay, next to Kevin.
Hey, thank you, Aaron. So actually, I don't really think about the future that much. So my fear is actually dying because of laughing too hard. So actually, when I laugh too hard, I can't breathe. So sometimes I can go like 2 minutes without breathing if I'm laughing too hard. So to deal with this, I usually have someone nearby so they can stop me from laughing too hard. Yeah, I think that's for me. Thank you.
Wow, that was so interesting, Kevin. Thank you for sharing. So next to the second Farah from BI.
Thank you, Aaron, and good morning, everyone. So my fear is having nothing to do Yeah. Then so how do I cope with it? I plan ahead. And if I ever find myself like if I fail to plan ahead, then I will, go out of the way to find new things to do on the spot. I can't stand not doing anything. Yeah. Thank you. Back to you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you, Farah. Don't forget to fail fast twos and move on. So next to Arya, okay, he have the plus for his colleagues, and his greatest fear is poor and coping mechanism is work. As simple as that. And next to Alvina, okay, Alvina have a class. Her greatest fear is being unproductive, and she is feeling guilty for herself when she's laying on her bed and watching drama all day. So her coping mechanism is always keeps herself busy and rather to reread books that she's already read couple times if she had a lot of free time. And next to Manasa,
Hi, thank you, Aaron. So, my greatest fear is not being able to answer questions that I can actually do really well during an exam because I ran out of time. So, my coping mechanism for this is that I take 2 minutes to go through the entire paper and prioritize my questions so that I do the easiest first and then do the hardest ones later because I tend to spend extra time on the harder questions. So, I'd rather do it towards the end. Yeah, thank you.
yes, thank you, Manasa. That was so interesting. Actually, me too, yeah, doing the easiest one, then leaving the hardest questions for the last. And next to Patricia's a case unstable internet. Her fear is existentialism, and her coping mechanism is by practicing acceptance and hugging her dogs. Wow. And next for Hakim.
Yeah, thank you, Irene. So my fear is not being good enough friend for the people around me, but I try to cope with trying to help, to always help others and seek to help others. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Hakim. So next we will proceed to Michael.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So my fear is the insect, especially maybe it's insect or worm if it also makes sense. So my coping mechanism is always keeping my environment clean as always because I always disgusted when I found one and my imagination start going on, especially if I feel to fix it.
Yes, thank you, Michael. I'm interested, so I'm curious what kind of imaginations that you have. So next for Anis. Okay, Anis not here too. So the expectations is both to herself of others, and her coping mechanisms is didn't set expectations to hide, and if she cannot to reduce the greater impact of disappointment. And it's also at her to only focus on goal but also from process because it's not to hide. Okay, interesting. And next to Dila.
Okay, thank you, Kyron. So my fear is to have regret. So my coping mechanism is I'm gonna tell myself that it's okay because sometimes it gets going to be help. Like having regret isn't always a bad thing. You always have the chance to learn. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dila. That was a good quote. Having regret isn't always a bad thing, and you always have the chance to learn. So, last but not least, from Bella from BI intern. Okay, unstable signal too. So, her fear is losing her family, especially her mom's, and her coping mechanism is to do her very best every day and make her mom proud and take time for her family. Okay, thank you everyone for your personal updates. And next, I think we will proceed to our core values reconnections and mentor reconnections. First is from Mr. Jing.
Actually, Iron, I'd like to say a few things, right? Since we have quite a bit of time, we've got 14 minutes today. We finished early, or we're probably going to finish early. So this discussion about fear, I think, is actually pretty valuable. And the reason I say that is because I think during the course of, I think we have a lot of very young people in the company right now, especially with Visters and some of our younger employees. So I think during the course of life, and especially during life in like a startup where you're going to be dealing with uncertainty constantly. This I think becomes a really important theme of like experiencing fear and knowing how to react to it. So I really applaud, I think, the moderator and also the host today for exploring this topic about how we actually experience fear and how do we actually overcome fear. So since I have a few minutes, I just want to say a few things, right? I think the aspect, and I don't know if I've shared this with everybody yet, but I think one of the strongest coping mechanisms of dealing with fear is to realize between the moment you feel fear and the moment you decide to react to the fear, that moment is power. That's your power. That's your decision to decide what you want to do um, with the experience of fear that you're going through at the moment. Earlier, I think, let's just say in my own life, I would always become overwhelmed by, let's say, the feeling of fear, and I might do something, what would you call it? That was maybe not very long term thinking or do something rash. And due to that, I spent quite a lot of time in school detention halls, being suspended, and basically experiencing a lot of punishment for things that I reacted to. I generally reacted to fear, maybe with preponderance of aggression sometimes, right? If I felt like somebody was making fun of me and I didn't like being made ashamed in front of a large group, would generally strike back, and that would usually cause more problems than before. But um, with time and maturity, and it doesn't necessarily mean one will equal the other. Some people have a lot of time and no maturity. I think the ability to take a moment and just process what's happening inside your mind before reacting to it. That's one of the greatest strengths that I've discovered along my journey as an entrepreneur. And I wanted to share that with everyone today because I think that can be your strength, and I want to empower people to reach, let's say, that plateau of emotional stability sooner. Um, and so, anyhow, end conclusion is fear is something that I don't think will ever. Um, I used to think like when I was younger, when I get older, I'll be fearless. But I've come to expect that fear you'll always have something new to be afraid about. Um, there's always something else that will bother you, no matter how much success you attain, no matter how much stability you attain. You can lose it all, and you can be really afraid of that too. But it's that moment where you actually realize fear is just not going to go away. But what you can do better is how you respond to fear, how you cope better with fear. That's when I think you gain more freedom, confidence, and you gain the ability to determine um, how you want to transform your life. And that inspires the life. Okay, anyhow, I'll hand it back over to Iron to continue with the rest of our core value recognition. Oh, it's me. So I'm going to I'm going to recognize somebody who isn't even here at the moment, Erica. Erica was an HAR intern, and I happened to discover after her farewell, that Erica was a Four Seasons public relations intern previously, before she was working at Bukit Vista. And since we have a brand new PR chapter emerging in Bukit Vista right now, I went to her to seek guidance and seek advice. And I'm really happy I did, because what I learned was that we actually have something that publishers and influencers want. I'd totally forgotten about it. So publishers and influencers want an audience that they can reach with their message. And every month, we reach over 10,000 guests, partners, and potential employees through the combined activities that we do here at Bukit Vista. And we have, I think, at least over 60,000 past guests that have stayed in Bukit Vista properties over the past years. So that's a vast amount of audience, actually, that influencers and publishers would like to work with. So my mindset started changing. I realized it's not so much about what publishers can do for Bukit Vista. I realized it's more of a fair trade. We can do something for them too as well. And that totally transformed the way that I saw how public relations work. Okay, all right, back to the moderator, Iris.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jing. So Erica from HAR chapter successfully inspired delights and positively transformed to us. And next to Mr. Bayu. She has three nominations to Amelia, Nadine, and Wayana, and Nadia. I'll give the chair to Bayu.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. I'd like to nominate Amelia for the core value be transparent and fail fast, learn fast. We noticed that Amelia is very difficult to communicate on the first week of her intern. We have this kind of problem before. So basically, we talk about this and try to understand more about her issue and focusing on how we can help her to have better team communication. Turned out that after we talk about it, she proved that after our discussion, her communication is much better now. So I think that's being open to the radical candor that we give her the feedback and willing to actually improve based on that. The second one is I want to nominate Nadine and Wayana for Never Settle and Fail Fast, Learn Fast. They are both open to ideas that the interns, Kayla and Christabel, that to improve the pitching presentation and currently implementing the new pitch deck for new potential partner. So this is a good thing that we are not just talking about this core value, but actually living it. And the third one is I'd like to nominate Nadia for Never Settle as well. Nadia has been able to continue acquiring users for the mobile app even when they need to be contacted directly. Basically, this is being hustled. I'd like to nominate Nadia for that. And this is bias to action and focusing on result and not only on activities. So congratulations, team.
Yes, give applause, everyone. So, okay, thank you, Bayu, for the nominations. Next to Mbok Wayana to Andreas.
Okay, thank you so much. So, for Andreas, I never saw and be the hero. So he's delivering a new system in the marketing, and this one is one of your legacy. You remember that you're gonna use the system. Trying to listen to my idea that you delivered it beyond that I imagined, because like I tried to explain like like this and that, and then I know like I'm not might be the best at communication, but actually he deliver like beyond what I imagined. Congratulations for Andreas, and also kudos that working on.
Yes, thank you, Mbak Wayana, for the nominations. And next to Gray for PD.
Yes, so thank you, Aaron. So lack of people on HR kind of takes toll. And yesterday, Fidi helped HR to be one of the reservation team by covering Airbnb coverage. As you can see, there's a sign there, cheers, Fidi and Bukit Vista House. And because of this, it's eases the HR team coverage. Keep inspiring coffee. Yes, that's all for me.
Yes, thank you, Grace. So next to Nadine for HRPR team. Okay, Nadine's not here. I will read it for her. Thank you for inspiring our canvassing team and BD by showing your paper library structures. And now we have a better documentation. Stay inspired, delights. So thank you, Nadine, for that. And next to Kayla to Andreas again.
Okay, I see there's a lot of Andres, but I would like to nominate him.
Kayla, you're there?
Because working on it, and he's been actively. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, is some of us clear?
I think your mic is kind of lagging, or there are problem with your connections. So I'll help Kyla to read it. So I would like to nominate Andreas as one of the fellow interns who have taken the initiative to help. And when I found an error in one of the features, Andreas immediately called me and took the initiative to fix it. No comments and just tried working on it. And he's been actively taking initiative to solve problems in marketing chapter. So he's the peak of my struggles. And yeah, thank you, Andreas, for being the heroes. And next to Andre to Kyla, from Andre to Kyla.
Yeah, this might seem funny because it's back to back, yeah. But yes, I have been struggling with the utilization of the new platform ever since started working at Bukit Vista, mainly Trello and Dropbox. Uh, and as the result of that, for the longest of time that I've been here, uh, I've forgotten about most of the notifications that was targeted to me. However, Kyla helped me to learn it by doing. Help me to learn it by doing. So like she teaches me step by step, and she doesn't mind teaching me every little things, no matter how simple it is. Just like even discovering the notification tab, or how do you learn the how to put the bullet points and so on and so on. And because of that, now I can get the hang out of the platforms that I'm using. So thank you for that, to be the hero and to help others help themselves.
Yes, thank you, Andre, for the nominations. And next to Gani and Nadine, I think it's the last to Andreas again and Kyla.
Yes, thank you, Iron. So I will nominate Andres and Ayla for assume this data, help others help themselves and be the hero, because the online canvassing team have been struggling for a while with the basic documentation. And after some discussion, they showed that their cares to the team by improving the structure. And Andre working hard on fixing the spreadsheet database, and this new system now make us easier to do follow up, better data visualization, and easier business strategy. And for Kyla is intensively pairing with me to tidying up the content canvassing medical capital, and she actively shared her best practice to the team. Now the paper has have a room for improvement by providing roadmap on each stage. Yeah, congratulations, guys.
Yes, thank you, Ganis. And also thank you, everyone, for updating your progress and also message to the others. And I'm giving back the chairs to Kelvin.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So that concludes our all hands meeting for this week. And so actually, I want to say sorry for the hard, like deep topic for the question of the week. But I think that knowing identifying your biggest fear, and if you see other people experiencing the fear for what you experience, so you can be inspired to follow them, and follow up, try to ask, how do you deal with this, and do you have any tips for me, since I'm also experiencing this. So hopefully it inspires direct for all of you, and I'm closing the session. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great
Thank
week ahead,
you.
everyone.
Everyone,
See
have a
ya.
great week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Woo! Wow. Okay, Iron, Kevin, how do you guys feel?
It's my first time there.
It's your. I thought that went okay. Let's go to Kevin. Any feedback for Iron?
Okay, I think for the person on this part is quite good. You give feedback, and you try to link it with the others. I think that's very good. But for the early part, I think there's something wrong. But I forgot. I wanted to comment on it, but I forget what.
Okay, for the early part. Yeah, there might have been something. Okay, let's keep on talking. Maybe Kevin will remember. Let's go to Iron. Any feedback for Kevin?
Yes, the weekly inspirations is good, but I think he forgot to put his names onto it. And yeah, for the conclusion itself, already good. And maybe in the like scrolling the PPT needs to be more faster.
Okay, okay, got it. Let me understand a little bit better, Iron. What is the scrolling P2P?
The scrolling the all hands one.
Not responsive enough. Yeah. All right. Should the moderator scroll or should the host control the screen? You think?
For today's all hands,
Uh-huh.
it's Kevin who share the screen.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, got it. Interesting. All right.
But it's up to you.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Kevin, did you remember?
From last time.
Oh
Like,
no. Did you remember what you wanted to say?
oh, wait. Mm, I don't think I remember. I remember now. The new employees promotion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that kind of we jumped over that really quickly, I think, and that should have maybe been kind of focused in and zoomed in on. As I think as moderator, Iron, that's one of your controls is how long and how much space you give to a particular thing. So let's say I want to introduce a topic, right? Let me kind of give you a demo how maybe that can be done. So let's say I'm talking here. I say, okay, everybody, let's hear the inspirational updates on each of the particular missions for guests, partners, and employees, right? And blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then we have some people here that just got promoted, welcome. And it sort of skips the moment, right? But try this. Try, like, let's say you finish this section. All right, so we finished all our updates. Let's move on to the next section. Hey, look, there's some new employees in the company. All right. So what you can do is you can definitely use your voice and your tone to sort of invoke and bring new actors onto the stage and remove. So that is your capability and one of your controls if you're leading a group discussion. So this one was a little bit confusing because I think Asa and Ross already been here for a while, but I'm not sure why their avatar showed up. The new ones were actually Vera and Gray. So, and you could even choose to say, hey, look, you'll take a moment. Gray, how does it feel being here and finally getting your avatar? Or Vera, how do you feel finally joining the company? So I think that part can be done to sort of bring more focus in. Yeah, I would say that was technically well done, right? All the technical parts were there, but it did feel a little bit. Well, let me go to Iron. How would you give that out of a score of 10? What would you give that as an all hands, let's say, meeting?
For me, for like 8 out of 10 because my voice is still not encouraging enough, I think. And yeah, I also feels like I miss some things and like didn't give enough, like for example, like
Okay.
giving good words or praise to the BB teams. And yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So basically, you feel like maybe your commentary could have been better, right? Like the way you responded to people's updates and the tone of voice that you used to share your emotional state. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, what do you think would have made it a 10?
First, maybe as you said, the moderator's tone of voice.
Uh-huh.
I think I will really liven. How do you say liven or liven?
Enliven, yeah. Kind of like these up. Okay. Okay.
Which is
All right.
Okay. Probably. I think that's all. So the feedback from me is the lack, like the lag from scrolling down through the share screen, right? I think maybe just my internet connection. My internet connection is really bad since last week, so I think that's why sometimes it's like it.
It could be this, Kevin. There's always going to be some lag between the moderator, the host, and whoever shares the screen, right? So I don't know. Maybe the moderator should be the one sharing the screen in the future. I don't know if that's too much to deal with as a moderator, but it does give you precise control. And if you see something, you can really kind of zoom in. So that could be a structural issue. Okay. Um, how would you rate it yourself, Kevin? How would you rate your own, let's say, I won't call it performance, but how would you rate how you did this compared to the previous time?
Okay. I don't think that comparing when I was the moderator and right now as the host, I think it's a different experience in my opinion. But as the host, I really don't know since the job of the host is actually just to provide the question, with inspiration, and just scrolling through the share screen like this, like less burdening than being the moderator. So I think it's hard to to how do you say rate myself since I think I did my job is not really how do you say not really quantifiable if it makes sense.
Okay. It is and it isn't. Let's also be kind of clear about the host job. The host activities currently are, yes, they're supposed to create the inspiration story, scroll through, and be there. But the responsibility of the host is like the responsibility of any host. You sort of think about what the difference between an MC and a host of a party is, right? So the MC is the person who talks, gets on stage, brings people up. But the host is the person who sort of like watching everything and making sure that there's flow, right? So the host job could be things like, hey, making sure that, let's say, the MC is actually engaging, or maybe stimulating the room a bit to get that engagement with the MC, right? The host job is just really thinking about a way to make people comfortable, a way for people to actually um, get the thing that they want to say out. I think you did well on the idea of the topic. I agree with your reason, and I agree with the way you presented the topic, right? So yes, I gave a little mini speech about that. Dealing with fear and coping with fear is a really strong, I think, way to develop a better mindset. And by explaining that, you've also did a. Let's say you didn't explain why you chose that topic. You just kind of left it there. And that I think would have been less good hosting because you just kind of throw something out there and you're like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this? But you explained it at the end, and then it sort of compacted everything together. So as host, your opening story is what actually brings energy into the room, and your closing statements is what actually kind of people take away for the rest of the week. And perhaps if your controls are fewer, so you're not doing as much, then really think about how to make those controls make more impact. And remember, at the end of the day, I've come to realize this: about 80% of our work here is communication, right? And this is why we do this, right? This coaching, because if we communicate well, we don't just share information; we share feeling, we share passion, we share a motivation to continue the week. Okay, so all right, good. I think yeah, I'm trying to see like I thought the last all hands was a bit more engaging, but this one was a little bit less. You can see on the comments and the threads there was not as much call and response coming back. Generally means that there might be something you can interpret with that. Kevin, there was the other thing maybe you would have noticed. Think about this, Kevin, as a host. If you see a group of people that are not engaging at a party, the host would go over and try to get them in. There was a big chunk of product people who I noticed had no updates, and it was specifically around the people on the product team. If that's the case, I would go on Slack and I would just kind of like say, hey, look, guys, your turn's coming up. Please get in something right before. So as a host, I would think about this. I would think about how to kind of get in front of the moderator and perhaps help them out a little bit so that by the time the moderator reaches a specific person, that can be done. Yeah, Aaron, I think it could be tone. I think you adopted you did fine, by the way. You actually have a very clear speech pattern. A lot of people, when they moderate, they use a lot of filler, noise type vocabulary, like like that. So you actually have a very clear public speaking voice. I think you're erring on the side of cautiousness. You're trying to be like okay, formal, correct, and that's great for a first pass. once you get comfortable with it, you can try this aspect. People share more when they feel like you as a moderator are imperfect. That's something I've noticed, right? So if you kind of like Shaylin does this really well, right? Shaylin will go in to like a happy hour and she'll play a little bit of the clown role. She'll set up these situations for comedy to happen, and you'll see that generally our audience responds pretty well to that. That gets them inspired. That gets them a little bit more comfortable sharing. So I think that as a tone generally works pretty well for let's say this type of setting, right? This is not meant to be formal. This is more meant to be playful, curiosity, stimulating, inspirational, right? So anyway, yeah, those are a few tips I got. Okay, but Kevin, definitely see improvement. Definitely see like you're much more in the moment. You're much more taking this as an opportunity to reach people. So I appreciate that. And Aaron, this is your first time, right? As Okay, so congratulations. I think for a first time that you showed a lot of maturity. Usually somebody, when they're doing public speaking in front of a company, they'll be like nervous or whatever. It generally goes three stages: nervousness, and then formal, and eventually when you get really good, you become really relaxed, and it just becomes kind of like a fun game to do with everybody there. Okay, all right, excellent. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll catch you all later. Bye, Kevin. Bye, Aaron.
Thank you for your advice, Mr. Jane
Actually,
and
I
Kevin.
want to ask something, sir.
Sure, absolutely. I'd love to
Okay,
answer.
so so the previous like question of the week are like, what animal do you want to be if you can be one, or what one thing that you want to also. I think I don't know. I tried to do a different approach, right, to make the question be more impactful, right? So it has more it's deep, right? It's deep. So do you, in your opinion, is it better to be to be deep, or is it just supposed to be like fun, a funny question?
I think no. Like I said, Kevin, your topic is very inspirational. I think it just needs to be relevant to the journey of, let's say, the entrepreneur, Kevin. So in the journey of an entrepreneur, there's always going to be serious moments and there's going to be exhilarating fun moments. So the serious moments are, I think, very important to confront and it is inspirational. Um, and it is, but it's also important, and this is why I said your conclusion was so important. Your conclusion was so important because you revealed why you asked that question, and when you reveal why, people reflect and they go, oh, yeah, that is correct. I feel more connected to other people. I feel I have a larger group of people that I trust now because I understand that they also fear the same things that I fear, and I think by discussing this, it's one of my most inspirational moments. I remember seeing this at Airbnb. So the founders all got up on stage with the entire company packed in one auditorium, and they each talked about what their greatest fear was. And the best one was actually from Joe Gebbia. He went on stage and he said, "My biggest fear is that I generally don't make friends very easily, right? And it's probably because I'm very awkward." And he said this, I think, in front of everybody, and he was being really authentic. He was he was yeah. It was he hadn't rehearsed it, right? He was just going out there speaking exactly how he felt, and because of that, everybody in the company felt a lot more inspired because even though Airbnb is a pretty social company, you would say it's full of very charismatic people, and for one of the founders to basically go up on stage and admit their unpopularity um, was I think truly inspirational. It tells us that it tells us we don't need to fake it, right? It's something that just if it comes naturally, it comes naturally. But we don't need to have these unrealistic expectations about how we should be. So as far as topics go, um, I think the topic can be serious, but the tone that we approach the topic can always be light. That's one thing I learned in hospitality. Um, sometimes, like, okay, imagine this, sir. Imagine what is the hospitality method of telling you that you got fired, right, or something like really sad. They would probably show up with like a silver tray and have like a envelope with wax on it, and you open it and it would probably say something to the tone of, we thank you for your service, and we want to like release you to take the things that you've learned here to impact the world in a beneficial way. And here is your here's your last month. So of course, you're going to know that this is probably not good news, but you can see that it was, let's say, delivered um, in the most respectful and hospitable way. And when you reflect on that, you might think, okay, I get it, right? Like they're doing the decent thing, right? If they have to do this, then at least they did the decent way. Um, I think that can always be done with any topic, no matter how serious or how whatever it is. It can be a gloomy theme, but we can portray it in an inspirational way. Like we can say, "Hey, look, you could even set it up this way, sir. You could even set it up and conclude it. You can be like, okay, for the next 40 minutes, generally we at the All Hands have these very light, jovial topics, but we really want to inspire delight by going deeper, right? You can even use the theme of the month to really emphasize your point by going deeper. And before we end the month of June, I'd like to go deeper and really get us into a place where we can explore, we can be transparent with each other, and we can really understand how we manage our fears and how this way of managing fears becomes helpful and useful for us to inspire delight. And it helps us go bravely forward, living the core values and innovating. So let's come together to share. Let's come together to reveal. Let's come together to say these things that we generally don't like to talk about, but by speaking about it, we'll confront our inner demons and rise above.
Sorry, you're muted.
Oh, hey, Katie K. Okay, okay, sorry. Yeah, Katie K. What are you doing? Oh, she's playing with my iPods or AirPods. So anyway, that I think the way that you that's the job as a host. Actually, that is the core job as a host. I think the job of a host is to take a situation and put a wrapper around it and merchandise the experience. So people understand what to expect. If it's a party, then the host creates the tone that it's a party. And the host then arranges the pacing, of course, this is an online event, so you don't have as much, let's say, props or controls as you would. But if you were, let's say, creative, you would think, okay, all right, maybe I could put a video, right, at the very beginning to get people to kind of like put them in the right mindset. It needs to probably be short, but hey, watch this video together because I think this is, kind of gets this idea across, right? The digital medium is still very broad and it can be very rich as well. So that's kind of it. No, your topic is great. Your topic I think, is very mature. It shows depth and it shows sophistication, I think, in your emotional vocabulary, in your emotional realm. So that part is excellent. I think it's mostly just tone. If you get the tone like in a way that people can let go more easily and not feel anxiety, because people are going to feel heavy when they talk about their fears with everybody. But if we could set it up so that it's like they feel comfortable doing that, that's the job of a host. Yeah. But that's a great question, Kevin. I like that question. Any other questions?
Okay, probably I think the host's job is, I don't know, it feels more, it feels less tiring than the moderator. No, I think it's really weird that the host only shows up like on the at the start and at the end, and it is kind of weird.
Here's I think my interpretation. So think of it this way, sir. Um, I'm kind of inspired, I think, by a Confucian philosophy, which says the best government is an invisible government. Okay, and so I think the best host is almost like an invisible host. It's somebody who is you're not okay. Host and moderator, I think, is yin and yang. So the host, what you're really doing is you're listening. You're being empathetic. You're practicing going in and actually understanding how somebody's feeling. And you have a few ways to engage with people. You can comment. You can even like your way is to sort of how do you it's not passive at all. It should be like you're actively listening, you're actively scanning, and you are planning ahead so that everybody is able to kind of share the emotional journey that we're on. So it might not have as much, let's say, activity or let's say visible activity, audible activity. But I think a good host, it's like imagine you're hosting a party. Okay, imagine you're gonna get married one day, right? So imagine you're hosting your own wedding. So people are coming, they're going. You have your entertainment, you have your caterers, you have your people greeting guests at the door, you have your reception, you have parents. You got to kind of like keep all this in mind, right? Imagine at your own wedding. Okay, imagine you are the host, but also imagine if you could delegate the host to somebody else so that you might be able to enjoy your own wedding, right? Imagine that instead of you having to scan the entire room, watch for, oh, hey, here's my uncle I haven't met in 15 years coming over, imagine you had a person who's doing that for you, okay? Think of like the benefit you would feel to like being able to just be present and be at your own wedding. Now imagine if you didn't. You have to do the whole hosting yourself, okay? So when you're eating, people are coming up to you, saying hi, saying all this stuff, and you need to take care of them. You need to kind of watch the room to see if, hey, are these two people fighting? Is this group of people not really engaged? Do I need to move some people around? Should I send over some drinks so that they start talking to each other? So I think as a host that is it's practicing. It's actually practicing, Kevin. So imagine there's guests in your house, and how would you want them to feel? How would you want them to be treated? You have control over the moderator, right? You've hired the moderator to help you organize and MC the event. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the host is the person who owns the result of the meeting. Yeah, that's the best way to think of it. As a host, you own the meeting. The meeting is yours, and how people leave or the way they feel at the end of the meeting, that is your job, right? The moderator guides the conversation, but the host actually, yeah. So if you see it that way, rather than just as a sequence of activities I have to do, then it's actually a very wide scope, and there's a lot of things that you can add to the picture, right? But yeah, a good host, I think 90% of it is in preparation. Really preparing, thinking about the flow, thinking about the timing, thinking about like what topic. It's really in that, and I don't know why. I think of Anna Wintour. She's the editor of Vogue magazine. She hosts a gala event every year at one of the museums in New York, and I saw her plan this in masterclass, and the majority of the work during the gala event is not her, right? She's got people who do catering, she's got people who do entertainment, she has people who design the event, but she comes up with how everyone should feel at the end of the event. Should they feel inspired? Should they feel a bit of dread? Should they feel whatever it is, right? Do they want to come back next year? That's, I think, the purpose of having a host. Okay? All right, cool. Yeah, this is so much. We don't see a lot of people who work in different groups in the company. They actually don't experience guests very often anymore. In the early days of the company, everybody experienced guests. We all worked directly with guests. I took guest inquiries. I brought guests around. So think of it this way. This is a way to experience what it's like having guests. And that I would say is the encapsulation of it all. All right, cool, Kevin. Good improvement, and I wish you the best. See you around. All right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. G.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.